Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. This is a tarot forecast for the week of Friday, May 8th till Thursday, May 14th, and it's good for the signs of the Zodiac as they are arranged by their elemental association. So I do a reading for the air signs, the fire signs, the water signs, and the earth signs. And I also give what I call the word of the week, which is a word from another tarot deck that has a lot of words on it that I can use for that kind of thing. At any rate, we're going to begin now. So we start off with our air signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. They tend to be thought of as mostly the intellectual, more thinking signs of the Zodiac. Everybody has a little bit of air sign in them, just as we have all the signs and components from the planets in astrology in our chart. They're just arranged differently, and so they influence other factors in your chart. So if you have a lot of air aspects in your chart, if you know your chart, then some of this reading could apply to you, perhaps. So at any rate, we pulled our word of the week, and that is avarice. Avarice is kind of one of those old-fashioned words you don't hear all the time anymore. But don't worry, I didn't have to look it up. I think I can give you at least my good layman's interpretation of what avarice is. And avarice is, I think it's similar to coveting, but maybe it's a little bit more hateful. It's more like showing a degree or level of harm that maybe one is willing to invoke in the name of what they covet or what they're looking for. Avarice is about coveting done on steroids, perhaps. So now we're going to move on to the reading. But basically what that's saying is that you guys in the air signs, you may be encountering this. You know, we're in really hard times, and if I had to apply that to our situation as it is right now currently, I would have to say that, like many of us, but certainly for air signs, you may have to deal with those complicated emotions of really wanting to stockpile. It sort of looks like they're stockpiling in that image there, and or the whole idea of how that makes you feel emotionally. Maybe it makes you feel a little bit harsher towards people. I think that's within that component of avarice. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle our cards now and pull those. And I'm pulling them randomly today because it just felt like I should do that. So we have 3 cards, and they are the 7 of Swords. That's reversed. The Wheel of Fortune. Sorry about that. That's also reversed. And then the Lovers reversed. So those are kind of interesting and not necessarily enjoyable cards to have. 7 of Swords is not real bad because it is reversed. That kind of alters its meaning. But this week may be playing out to some really interesting changes in your cycle. It's your cycle of luck, but it's also the cycle of just circumstances for you. Some people may feel that they are luckier all the time, but even then they may not be extremely lucky all the time, and in fact may have some bad luck. Some people feel they're always unlucky. So for you air signs, what I'm seeing is kind of a mess of stuff. There's big chances that something in the status quo of your relationship is going to change. The Lover's reversed. You may have some choices to make about where your relationships are going. This could just be also about decisions being made in the realm of emotions in general, that we may have to make changes the Wheel of Fortune is changes, and some of that is about how we're doing business, how we are moving and creating our patterns in life. But some of this is possibly due to have really strong reconsiderations. And it may be that what that Seven of Swords is telling us is that it's best to not bite off more than you can chew if you can handle that. That you may find you're in the position of having to make certain amends or make things better that have been disrupted by these changes. It's kind of a freaky arrangement there, and I'm thinking that it does play a little bit into the Word of the Week card, the Avarice card. I mean, I'm thinking it's showing that maybe in this next week, what we are encountering with the air signs is their reaction emotionally and otherwise to some other significant changes in life cycles, downturns mostly is what it looks like. And that maybe the Lover's reverse could be a metaphor for making the hard choices that are associated with some of the situations concerning our pandemic right now. I wish you luck, air signs. That's what I have for you. So we're going to move on now to the fire signs. Fire signs. These are signs like Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. They tend to be active, energizing kind of signs. They tend to be influential within their own realm. They're dynamic. They're definitely dynamic. So they have a word of the week, as we all do in my reading. And that word of the week is perplexity. So I want you fire signs to think about perplexity. Think about what are those situations that will involve you to possibly think more, to be more thoughtful, to solve problems, to ponder other people's problems is also an idea I'm getting here. Fire signs tend to be leaders in a way. A lot of fire signs have those qualities. Leos, Aries, Sagittarius. And what we are faced with are some really perplexed situations. And so maybe just that word of the week, perplexity, is telling us that we have to accept that. We have to understand that things can't necessarily move as directly and dynamically as you fire signs may be used to. We may have to ponder those perplexities and how we can make some advantages there for us, perhaps. So I'm going to do your reading now. Fire signs. You know, everybody, I live with a fire sign. My partner in TFT, Tarot for Today, Banshee, my partner of many years. Check out my recent How the Story Began YouTube video. It's about 90 seconds, so you can spend some time there. It kind of has a semi-polished look, but I thought it was fun doing it. Alrighty, fire signs. I'm getting my glimmers for you, so I'm going to go ahead and pull your cards. That one wanted to go, so I think we're going to take it. So this is what we have, fire signs. We have the Eight of Cups, upright. We have the Five of Discs, upright. And we have the Princess of Wands, reversed. Now, the first two are very interesting because, of course, they both talk about situations of consideration. In the one sense of the Eight of Cups, our consideration is to be better, to move towards something that's better, that's more spiritual, that's more balanced, to leave some things of wickedness or some things that just aren't working behind, to move onto a new road. Yet at the same time, the Five of Discs is saying that we're also maybe suffering the effects of our unmooredness and our not feeling like we're really ready here. or that we're feeling like there are some, situations that we're not really able to control. I think it means that a little bit. And so maybe that's what's going on, is that we have finally decided we do have to move beyond some circumstances that really are unsettling to us, unmooring. That's the word I used. Sad, desolation, feeling cut off. Fire signs, you may be experiencing that. A lot of times fire signs bask in the glow that they receive from other people because of that dynamic energy. They're used to a lot of people engaging with them. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I'm thinking that all of us are missing human interaction. And fire signs maybe are just having a little bit, right now at least, a more difficult time. And maybe are considering what some of those changes, those things that they can do to move towards better. But then we have the Princess of Wands. And the Princess of Wands, well, she's like the Page of Wands. In the Egyptian deck, or like the Crowley deck, they make some alterations to the typical Page, Knight, Queen, King. So this is the energies from the Page of Wands, and it's reversed. And I think what it's telling us is that there's a bad message coming to us, and there's a message maybe telling us that these things are happening, or that this, if it's not a specific message, it is maybe another kind of message, the message that's coming from the world around us. Many people are becoming a little bit more intuitive and sensitive, because as the world is slowing down, we're taking more time to be reflective. And when we can do that, we do listen on other levels, and maybe we hear things. I don't know about you, but I've been hearing things. I heard somebody's voice call my name, and then a day later I heard that a coworker who was a friend of mine died. I think I might have mentioned this before, so I shouldn't dwell on it too much, but that's that psychic part of that, is that, and Banshee, my partner here at TFT, is also getting those impressions too. So it may be that what is happening is coming as a message of another sort, and it's telling us that we have to think about what it is we need to do, how we need to overcome the oppression and the desolation and the sense of not really having anything to look forward to. It's the dark night of the soul personified. Yet I think with that Eight of Cups, we will move ahead. We will move ahead. We just have to take more moments of reflection and consider things beyond materialism, because right now the things that are going to make us the happiest are the things that come from within us, I think. So that's what we have for the fire signs. And now we're going to move on to the water signs. Water signs. Water signs are Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces. I'm a Scorpio. I know I keep telling you guys over and over, but we tend to be a little bit more emotionally based in general. We may fly with our emotions, or we may sulk, be sad, be overly giddy. You know what's happening with me? This is personal, but I'm noticing that maybe although I feel a little bit more sad on occasions, I'm also like slightly hysterical sometimes. Like I laugh at something and then I realize I want to keep laughing. I want to keep laughing because that's all I have right now, or else I have to start crying again. So I just shared something with you. I'm thinking of Bozo the Clown. Just keep laughing. So our word of the week, water signs, is delusion. Did I know that? Just keep laughing. Delusion. Is life a delusion? Water signs. Maybe your emotional and intuitive abilities are really starting to go really deep here, and you're starting to go into some deeper realms on what's going on here. I tend to look at things, my own abilities, as being able to tell me things that are going on a collective sense, a world mindset. No, it doesn't talk about what every single person really fervently believes, but sometimes there's an essence or an egregore or some sort of meme, as we call them, a prevalence of a certain kinds of feeling. And maybe many of us, not just water signs, but maybe many of us are starting to feel that a lot of our life is a delusion. The whole idea that the economy's falling apart, but let's give so much money to the people at the top of it who really have only been hoarding their wealth for years now. And there's a lot of people who really need more help than they can get. So ponder that delusion about what we really do in these societies that are full of inequity. I know I do. At any rate, I'm going to get off of my soapbox and get to your reading. This card fell, so I want to read it this time. Water signs, that's one of your cards. It's going to be the Hanged Man. The need to make sacrifice. The need to surrender to wisdom, self or otherwise. So what are your other two cards? Water signs, you also have the Lovers represented here. And you also have the Ace of Swords, but that's reversed. So I'm thinking with these three cards is telling me that maybe you're putting off something. You're putting off a project. You're making that delay yourself. You're making that sacrifice because to some degree you're feeling that there's just too many delays there, and that maybe the emotional resonance decision sort of takes you to two different extremes. And that when you think about it, you really think that maybe there's only two different ways you can handle this, and you want one, and maybe you want the other, but you know that's not going to work out unless you really do make the right decision. Swords are often about judgments. Aces are about beginnings. A sword cleaves things. It creates a separation that can be equal or balanced. The Hangman tells me that you have to really look within on this decision. Maybe this is about the delusion you're being faced with, or the idea that you are looking at delusions around you, and how can you get back reality? You may have to sacrifice a lot of wisdom or surrender to that wisdom to find your way back to reality. That's kind of ooky for you water signs, but that's what I have for you. So we're going to close out my session today by moving on to the earth signs. Earth signs are Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn. And for them, the words rock steady were probably meant. They tend to be a little bit more grounded. I won't say that they're always balanced, but they probably have a potential to be a little bit more balanced than some of the other signs. Or people with earth in their charts. I have a bit of earth in my charts, so I don't know that it makes me balanced, but I think it makes me cautious. It makes me move a little slower, so that could be possible with some of the earth signs too. I'm seeing my favorite little, one of my favorite little kitties is over here. Shadow. Maybe she'll jump on my lap, I don't know. Anyways, you guys, earth signs, have a word of the week. 2, like everyone, and that word of the week is attraction. That's the best word of the week so far for any of the signs here. So, earth signs, you're dealing with attraction. It may be that now, from the emotional point of view, your time has come. That this is really about, you putting out your best essence and your best magnetic abilities to be attractive and to work with what attraction is about. It isn't just about love necessarily. Attraction could also be about pulling energies to you that are vital energies that are needed for other things. I mean, it's a life force kind of thing. I mean, love is the life force, attraction's a part of that. But what else do we do with our life force? Earth signs, in and of themselves, tend to be a little bit on the creative side anyway. So, I'm thinking of some of the Earth archetypes in the cards show gestation, creation, formulation, all of that. Hello, my little baby down there. You want me to pet you? So let's go ahead and deal with our cards for the Earth signs. And I hope everybody's still doing well, whether they're in their lockdowns or whether they've had to come back from their lockdowns. Please try to be safe. Try to be reasonable. All right, Earth signs. Oh, your cards are all reversed. You have Death reversed. You have the Prince of Swords reversed. And you have Temperance reversed. So Death reversed tells me that for the Earth signs, you're feeling like there's just a lot of inertia around you. And you're feeling things on a greater level too, like you're feeling like this is beyond yourself even, like you just feel like everything is so muckety slow. It's really a drag. And with the Prince of Wands, which is sort of the corollary to the Prince of Swords, which is the corollary to the Prince of Wands, Knight of Wands, but it's reversed. And so it just feels like there is no energy. This sort of combines with that stagnation. Just say that the energy to move projects forward is really kind of downscaling itself. And what it may be, I think, is that Earth signs are dealing with looking at that idea that we're moving to a period, maybe, this is more for you personally, but where you really have to make choices based more on getting around that stagnation or around that unmotivation, that you can't necessarily be immoderate. You might have to be less than immoderate to kind of deal with the changes that are too slow, or the plodding stagnation, inertness that's going on right now, and the inability to forge your will or to find your way to making some projects. This is kind of dreadful for you, Earth signs. And now maybe I understand a little bit why we have the attraction card here, the word of the week, because I think this is saying you have to attract all other kinds of forces to yourself, because the forces to combat inertia or lack of motivation may be varied. I mean, they may be things that even I can't think of at the moment, let alone yourselves, but that you really have to figure out what it is to jumpstart things. And so I'm thinking that's why the attraction card is there. It's about a jump starting and moving beyond a sense of desperate times or desperate moves needed. So I'm hoping Earth signs will be able to weather the storm on that and be with us next week then, so that maybe we can see that from the emotional currents and undercurrents, things are going to be improving, getting better. I know one thing that is happening too is that, of course, we are just passing through the full moon energies. I'm not even sure what sign the full moon is in, but I'm just wondering if, a lot of times the full moon energies just adds a lot of emotionality and unpredictability to what's going on. So this could play into our emotional currents, ups and downs, and lives for this week. So beware. And that is what I have for you for this installment of Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. You can tune in again next week. This broadcast is coming to you on Thursday, the day before. It's actually good. I've decided to play around a little bit with scheduling just to make sure that you get that information in time. So check back next week, next Thursday, for the next installment. And of course, don't forget that we have live upstreams or uploads. We have live streams. I've been here too long. We have live streams twice a week. So check it out, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.